performance, and we're going to talk about it in this video. I know I'm a little late to the party, but we're going to talk about the launch of the RTX 4090. What does it mean for you as a PC gamer, and should you even need a card of this caliber? We're also going to talk about the RTX 4080 and how it's still in a weird place, even with NVIDIA dropping the latest variant, the 12 gigabyte variant. So let's talk about it. What's happening, YouTube and the internet? Terrence here, and we are back inside the lab. And if this is your first time to the channel, I welcome you to, first and foremost, hit the like button for me right down there to help get this video in front of more eyes on the algorithm, and subscribe if you're a first-time viewer here to the channel. But if you're not, thank you for your support and your continued viewership here at Inside the Lab. But as I mentioned at the beginning of this video, which I'm outside the lab once again, but I'm in the process of getting the new studio set up, fingers crossed, but more on that later. But as I mentioned in the beginning of this video, we are talking about the RTX 4090 and how it compares to, say, graphics cards that are still available right here, right now in the market, that could also be a little bit more targeted for a specific type of gamer, or a gamer that's looking to get into PC gaming and they have a budget of about 1,000 USD, a little north of 1,000 USD. I did a community tab poll over on the community tab asking what's a good modern price, or what's a good price for a modern PC budget, and the general consensus in our small but mighty insignificant poll was that the majority of you believes that that is at that price point, at about 1,000 USD. So when you look at the price of the RTX 4090, it's a $1,600 graphics card. It does have 24 gigabytes of DDR6 VRAM, and it's on the Ada Lovelace GPU architecture that NVIDIA just revealed or just announced. The RTX 4090, it's also packing a significant amount of CUDA cores and a hefty price point, once again, to go all the way back to the beginning of this video, at 1,600 USD. On paper, this card seems like the ideal card, or the dream card for most enthusiasts, myself included. But once you factor in the cost of other components to, say, complete a build with an RTX 4090, you're looking at a total setup, just your base configuration, of a little more than 3,500 USD. Now ask yourself, what type of gamer am I? What type of games do I actually want to play, and at what resolution and refresh rate, ideally, would I like to experience them? You have to seriously ask yourself the question, is that necessary, or is it necessary to have a budget of 3,500 USD to capture the best possible experience over on the PC? Or could you likely get it done at a budget of at least half that initial cost of, say, finishing a build with an RTX 4090? That's also, say, going with the higher end Intel SKU, the 12900K, and then a beefy cooling solution on top of that, a suitable power supply, just to deliver enough energy or enough power to, to power all your components and not have any of your performance affected by it as well. So ask yourself, or you have to ask yourself, well, again, can I build a PC that maybe won't be as fast as the $3,500 build with an RTX 4090 and its $1,600 price to entry? Can I build something a little bit more powerful and still be able to power the resolution or deliver a playable FPS at the resolution of your choice? If this is 1440p, you cannot ignore the value that the 6700 and the 6800 XT now has at graphics cards that typically can be had from anywhere between 5 to 600 USD. You factor in an 11th generation Intel CPU like the 11900K or 11700K, and you can have a PC, you can build a system. It'll be on, say, DDR4, sure, maybe not as sexy and flashy as DDR5, but it'll be on DDR4 platform. But it's still a relevant platform, right? Like, old doesn't necessarily mean obsolete. And legacy, there's a new definition or a new meaning to the word legacy hardware, because with the value that's now being shared with the tech community, right? And that's largely in part due to graphics cards dropping in price and their availability increasing across the board everywhere. The value, I mean, you just simply cannot ignore the value that's now left on the table, especially with previous generation cards, and the fact that NVIDIA has a boatload of RTX 30 series graphics cards that we could even see drop even further down in price, because NVIDIA has to clear all that old stock legacy for us for us gamers who are passionate about older hardware. But NVIDIA has to clear new stock, or clear that stock to make way for the new stock for the upcoming RTX 4080. Which that's a perfect segue into the RTX 4080, because NVIDIA had revealed that there would actually be two variants to the RTX 4080, both varying in price and the most likely CUDA cores, because it's essentially a cut down RTX 4080, which probably couldn't hack it as a future 4080 Ti. But NVIDIA for the first time gave us two variants to the RTX 4080, right? One with 12 gigabytes of VRAM and the other with 16 gigabytes of VRAM. This is an interesting position that NVIDIA has put themselves under, and that's because they've left themselves open for scrutiny by not only myself, but larger other tech tubers in the space as well that have called out NVIDIA for doing this. And that's largely in part because that SKU that's now has become a RTX 4080 Pro, or like a 4080 Lite, if you will, should have been an RTX 4070. And with the RTX 4080, the original price for the cutback variant, the 12 gigabyte card, that was going at about $1,000, I believe it's $1,000. I'm going off numbers at the top of my head, but it's about $1,000 to $1,100 USD. Even then, if that's reference price, we'll likely see add-in board variants going for likely north of that, about that $1,100 to $1,200 range. This would be for the lower end RTX 4080 that likely should have just been a lower price RTX 4070. The 4070 getting a bump in VRAM, say going from 10 to 12 gigabytes of VRAM, and more cores, of course, than the previous generation, slightly faster memory, going for about 700 USD, no more than 800 USD would have been a better place for the 4070 series for Ada Lovelace coming up here. And that's because it's typically the graphics card that most 1080p high refresh rate or high graphics setting, high detail gamers like to target if they're looking for a little bit more performance than, say, from the XX60 generation, the lower end, and then you have the 50 series and the 50 Ti. But we'll see if we get a 4050 and a 4050 Ti. We most likely won't come until the summer of next year. Might see it announced or revealed at the beginning of 2023, but we likely won't see the lower end SKUs of the RTX 40 series coming until the summertime of 2023. But yeah, either way, it would appear that VRAM is the new cores, and this is that's the new buzzword. That's what NVIDIA and both AMD are going to push in their next generation of graphics cards in both the RTX 4070 series and the upcoming RDNA 3-based RX 7000 series GPUs. But we shall wait and see, because in my honest opinion, what it boils down to is this. If you're targeting a graphics card like the RTX 4080, the 16 gigabyte variant, or the RTX 4090 with the $1,600 price range, you likely are targeting a refresh rate and a resolution that's at least 1440p, 2560 by 1440p at 144 hertz, or a 1080p monitor that's somewhere north of at least 165 to 265 hertz. And even then, it's a different play style and a different type of gamer mindset when you're looking at a high refresh rate at 1080p versus, say, a detail monitor. Even a 4K 144 FPS monitor can be had for about $500 to $600 if you're targeting both detail and, say, a smooth experience, right? Like, you want your refresh rate to be as high as possible and your response time to be as low as possible. And that can be had at higher end monitors. Some 4K monitors have low response time, and then 1440p, you can get a 0.1 millisecond response time monitor at about 144 hertz too, for just a little over 200 USD. So again, I propose this to the potential gamer or somebody you might know in your community or your immediate circle. If you're considering a graphics card like the RTX 4090 or the RTX 4080, think about your monitor first. Think about how you plan on actually running your games at a visual perspective, right? Quite literally at a visual perspective. And that's because your monitor is the window into your PC's soul, right? Everything your system is capable of doing, it's going to output that on your monitor. So this is where you should put even more thought versus, do I need that shiny new RTX 4090 or that RTX 4080, right? Think about your play style, the type of games you want to play, and then how you want to actually experience them. And then you will likely find your answer to finding the best graphics card that's actually suited for your budget and that's actually going to be able to achieve the level of performance it is that you are targeting. This could be in a wide variety of games. Some of us like games like Call of Duty Warzone, where it's all about like response time and how fast can you react, like in CS:GO, or even Overwatch, a game of that nature. And then some of us like slow burn games, like for Horizon Forbidden Dawn and West, and games like Days Gone. And I don't know why I'm naming a bunch of Sony exclusives, but you get the point. But it really boils down to the type of games you want to play and how you want to experience them. Yes, a graphics card will play a significant role in, say, the end game to achieving that perspective or that prospect, right? But it really starts with the type of games you want to play and how you want to experience them. The RTX 4090 is the big ticket, right? It's here, and its price tag isn't going anywhere anytime soon. The RTX 4080 is set to release sometime before 2023, or I'm sorry, sometime before 2022 and right before 2023. So we'll have to see how that holds up as well. I mean, it's going to be a fast card without a doubt, but you have to be prepared to pay that NVIDIA tax. What we're going to get back to here in this channel is finding the hidden value in legacy components, graphics cards that are going to be quickly ignored and just shuffled around by the mainstream media and most large brick and mortar retail stores. For us guys and gals out there in the community who are looking to, say, capture that value and share it with your community and share it not only for others, but for yourself for making upgrades to your own system. So if that sounds like that's something that's up to you or that's right around your speed, I welcome you to, again, subscribe down below for me. Hit the subscribe button down below. Hit this like button for me on your way out. I will catch you all in the next one. Hit the description box below for additional links and content, but I will catch you all in the next one. So until then, be easy.